in Zola Bantu. So I'm going to dive in basically to our class for today. Zola Bantu class basically is in the goal of decolonizing the African mind. We have about 5 modules. We already covered 18 chapters of the foundation class. It's available on our YouTube page. Please, for those of you who have not gone through the foundation, make an effort even once a week when you're driving, when you're on your way to work, when you're free, just play the video on YouTube. It's also available on Facebook. Listen to the classes. If you have questions, you can ask us. And now we are basically in module 2, which is Life 101, the history of humanity from the spirituality point of view. And then after this, we shall look at spiritual awakening and wake up of the conscience. And then we shall teach on the mission of a woman on earth. Without our queens, we are nothing. And finally, we shall speak about dead in spirit. Dead in spirit means you are a car and the driver is completely asleep. And if you are dead in spirit, you cannot participate in the reign of 1,000 years. You cannot go to the realm of the ancestors. Only people who are awake in the spirit are able to go where the ancestors are. So in the foundation class, we spoke about the paradigm. It's a very, very important. Class 1, the paradigm is very important because if you don't understand the paradigm, it is very difficult because the world that we live in, it functions in the paradigm of accumulation of riches. The sense and purpose of existence for these people, the way they have run the world for 6,000 years now, since the fall of Egypt, is the accumulation of riches. So if you are accumulating riches in the world, then you are considered as a person of value. You are considered as somebody who's basically living their life experience. If you do not have money, you do not have resources, you are basically a nobody. This is the paradigm which has replaced the paradigm of Ubuntu of Africa. Now, this paradigm of accumulation of riches has been the cause of all the crises in the world today. So this class on paradigm is very important. We have about 18 classes in this module 1 on foundation. It ends on class 18, African medicine versus Western medicine. You really get so many insights in there. How did our African ancestors treat? It's different completely from how the Europeans have brought their system of hospitals and all these things. So please have a look at the foundation, 18 chapters. And now we looked at basically Life 101. It starts from the 19th chapter, 19th class. We spoke about the creator in existence and his creation. So many insights over there. We spoke about the structure of creation. We spoke about the kingdom of the Simbis, the kingdoms of the army of the Lord, the kingdom of the servants of the Most High. And then we spoke about the construction of the physical universe. We spoke about the 9 bodies of the spirit. You are just encapsulated, just like an onion. And then we spoke about the activities of the spirit, femininity and masculinity, very, very important. We knew the importance of each. And we spoke about the reason of our arrival into the physical universe in our last class, 25. And today we're looking at basically the beginning of human civilizations in the physical universe. So we are coming from on top and we are descending. Yeah? So it's a system of pedagogic to give you to be able to understand much better. That's why we're starting from the top and we're descending. So many classes are coming in Life 101 up to even class number 45. And then we shall move into the next module, which is spiritual awakening and wake up with the conscience. So today is class number 26, the beginning of human civilization in the physical universe. We spoke in the last class that life on earth is a school. We have come into the school of uninterested love. That is the course which we are attending. So we come in different gifts. People have different talents. The scripture says that we have fruits of the spirit. Everybody has different talents. The parable of the talents, he gave different talents to his servants. So we come with different talents and we have to manifest those talents in our various activities. But there are 3 major courses under the curriculum of uninterested love on earth, which is love, purity, and justice. If you go in Egypt, if you go in Sudan, I think the first pyramids was in Sudan and Kush and Ethiopia, you would notice that our ancestors built the pyramids in triangular in shape, even though it's more of a volume. But if you look at it in a TD view, in a 2D view, it looks like a triangle. So it was a depiction of these 3 principles: love, purity, and justice. Love are basically the priests connecting humanity to the Most High. Scientists are basically the ones that are basically identifying and studying the environment to provide goods and services for the community. So if you are a businessman, you are a scientist, you are an interior designer, you are a builder, you are performing the function of a scientist, it means you are so much attached to the material world to make life comfortable for human beings. If you're a businessman, if you're an entrepreneur, you are in the branch of the scientist. Now, if you are, say, you are a lawyer, you are a doctor, you are a psychiatrist, you are a teacher, you're practicing the role of a priest. You're connecting man to the Most High. You're dealing with man directly. If you're a policeman, you're a president, you're a minister, you're a mayor, you're practicing the branch of being a judge, the governance. Okay, so all these principles have to come together. They have to work in harmony with each other. That's why in Zola Bantu, our motto is, Zola Bantu, we live in love, we live in purity, we live in justice, as you can see, because we're trying to look at Makuku Matatu, Malamba Kongo, the three pillars of spirituality. I, for example, I practice the activity of Ensaku. I teach, like right now I'm teaching. I don't have the gift of a scientist or governance, but there are some people here, for example, in the community who have the gift of being a scientist, like Brother Level, Brother Victor, and others have a gift of being in Zinga. It means they are governance. They're really good in the area of governance. It means as I am a teacher in Tsaku, I cannot become the president of the country. You have to be honest with yourself. Okay, this is what I'm good at. It means somebody else will play the role. But democracy that I brought to you in Africa, everybody wants to be president. But no, that's not how it works. In our community, even a cleaner was respected. If there's no cleaner, who's going to clean the house for you? Even a fisherman was respected. Not everybody wanted to be a chief. No. So even this idea of democracy has brought so much competition among ourselves. Everybody wants to be president. No. So when a child is born at the age of 14, we separate the boys and the girls. The girls go through initiation to discover how to become women, to study femininity, Mama Ndombe of the Most High. The men go to initiation to study the principle of masculinity, the Tatanzambi of the Most High. You don't put girls and boys in the same class and teach them the same thing. That is ultimate stupidity, because women perform a different role and men perform a different role. This is not to say that women cannot do what men can do, but a woman needs to choose an activity in the society that corresponds to her femininity. A woman cannot be a soldier. A woman cannot be doing karate. A woman cannot be a boxer. It's in contradiction to her femininity. A woman can be a counselor. A woman can be in the customer service. A woman can be in the army, but in the sector of treating the patients, but going to war and carrying the guns and the bomb. No, that's not the role of a woman, no. So when you begin to understand masculinity and femininity, you even know which option you should choose when you want to go to university. You see? So if I have if I have a baby boy and a baby girl, I'll put more emphasis on my girl, my baby girl, to know how to clean the house, to wash the place, and to cook. Yes, even the boy can learn, but I'll put more emphasis on the girl because that's femininity. But if we're to climb a tree to pluck the mangoes, I cannot allow my daughter to climb the tree now. No, my son will climb the tree. If we're going to change the tires in the car, my son will do it because he's practicing the masculine activity. But now there are so many mixed up, you're putting boys and girls at the same thing. No, it is not right. We have completely destroyed femininity. That's why you even have things like patriarchy today. You have minimized the woman. The woman has become like nothing. She cannot do anything. And the Luciferian beings profited from it to launch feminism. And now you're complaining. So it's a big problem. So in our last class, we spoke about that as a human being is basically a spiritual being that lives in a physical body. It's a mystery. A human being is a fusion of spirituality and physicality. So there is the spiritual side of you, energy that is inside of you by the solar plexus. It has fused with your physical body. It's like you're a driver, you have entered into a car. But Paul in the scriptures, I'm quoting the scriptures to help our brothers and sisters who are Christians, because people will say, why are you quoting scriptures? You're religious. No. We have to help our brothers and sisters who are Christians, who are so deep in Christianity, to understand that what we're teaching, it is found in their writings, but they have been just taught dogmas and precepts. So, but Paul says, if there's a natural body, there's also a spiritual body. So it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being, and the last Adam was a life-giving spirit. It means there is two people here. There is the first Adam, and then there's the second Adam. The spiritual did not come first, but the natural, and after the spiritual. It means they made the physical body first, and then the spirit came in. The first man was of the dust of the earth. The second man was of heaven. They're speaking of two people here. I've put an illustration on the right side for you to see. There is a soul and the body. In other languages, you have the Abel and the Cain, the spirit and the animal body that you have, the intuition and the intellect. Genesis 2:7, the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So the first Adam was created from the soil, and the second Adam came from heaven. The problem in Christianity is that you take the first Adam as the one who was in the garden, and the second Adam as Jesus Christ. That is a big problem over there. But that's not what Paul is saying here, no. Because in Christianity, when you say Christ, they look at immediately the person of Jesus. That's what they say. If you receive Jesus in your heart, it means Jesus Christ lives inside you. No, Christ, language is a big problem. You have to be able to understand the history of the Bible, not just reading the Bible. No, Christ, it comes from the word in Greek, Christos. Christos means spirit. In Egypt, we used to say Osiris. English, spirit. Greek, Christos. In Egypt language, Osiris. In Kikongo, where I come from, we say Mawungu. So it means everybody has the Christ in them. It's not Jesus Christ. No, that energy in you is what they call the Christ, which the Most High put in you. So when Paul is saying that the first Adam became a living being and the last Adam a life-giving spirit, it's not saying that Jesus Christ came into your body. No, you have already the energy in you. That's why Brother Paul says, if the Christ in me awakens, it becomes an experience of glory. He's not speaking of Jesus Christ. No, he's speaking about the energy in you, your muntu. If your muntu awakens, it becomes an experience of glory. Very, very important. So we said what? That the animal body was created from the dust of the ground. It means a certain species of animals was prepared to receive the second Adam. God breathed into man the breath of life. This image is very difficult because you have already been polluted with the evolution theory of Charles Darwin, because every time you look at evolution, you think at the end of the evolution line, it's a white person. No, we shall explain here how all this has been made into confusion. So Genesis 3:21 says, and the Lord God made clothes of animal skins for Adam and his wife. These are spiritual languages. People in Christianity, you think they just made a cloth and then Adam and wife wore the cloth. No, they were speaking of spirits incarnating the animal flesh. Now, a spirit is of a different vibration. You are incarnating a physical matter. You now have to elevate the matter to your vibrational frequencies, because the spirit in the spiritual kingdom walks upright. It stands upright. But you incarnated an animal species who was first of all walking like a chimpanzee. So your vibrational frequency now had to change the morphology of the animal. And Charles Darwin began his studies in the right way at first. He discovered this truth that something happened, because science tends to look for the missing link between the preconceived Australopithecus afarensis and Homo habilis. What happened? But Charles Darwin says that we were animals and then we became smart. No, there was an intervention. The scripture speaks about it here. God kills an animal and dresses them. He speaks about incarnation. So when we incarnated for the very first time, I'm speaking for the very first time. I'm not saying now. For the very first time when God said, let there be light, we left the spiritual kingdom, boom. We incarnated the body of an animal. And then over time, with the help of the elders and the Simbis, we began to master the body. But Victor, if you enter into a car for the first time, and you do not know how to drive, you will cause some accidents. So you need to learn how to drive the car. It takes a long time. Some of you took for you, I think, 3 months, 4 months, or 2 weeks to learn how to drive a car. Some people, it takes them a longer time. So to master the body, to know the environment, to survive in the environment, because back in the days, there were vicious animals. You had to survive from the dragons, you have to survive from the dinosaurs. So it was a battle. There was even a battle in the physical environment. So they have to survive. So it took a long time for them to arrive at the full maturation of their physical body, which we call Homo sapiens. So they began as a Homo Australopithecus afarensis. The scientists call it Lucy. And then we tried to make an effort to stand upright, Homo habilis, and then finally we became a Homo erectus. And then we mastered the physical body, understood that, okay, we became conscious. Because even when a child is born, you're a baby, it takes up to 14 years for the body to mature. That's when the speed begins to drive the car. That 14 years is not a coincidence. In the beginning, it wasn't 14 years. It took a long time to master the body. So that basically moves us to our next slide. So we came from the spiritual kingdom. I, for example, do not believe that we live, I don't believe, but I don't know that, I don't think it's true that we live in a globe. Scientifically, it really does not make sense. But if you look at the scriptures, you will notice that from the way the scripture is laid out, we actually live in a dome. I think there's a slide here I put on the dome. We actually live in a dome. So spirits came from the spiritual kingdom, incarnated a species of animals, the primates, and then we began to evolve. Genesis chapter 6 from verse 1 to 2. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the daughters were born to them, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves. Now this scripture, many historians say that Nephilim beings and Luciferian beings came in spaceships like aliens, and then they came into the earth atmosphere and got and slept with women, and then they gave birth to giants. No, that is a wrong interpretation of the scripture. They speak about incarnation. The sons of God, the spirits, you and me, incarnated the daughters of men. They speak about the primates who were in the equator, in the heart of Africa. In those days also afterwards, Genesis 6:4, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore to them children. They were mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Very, very important. So this information is something for you to be able to think about and reflect on, because what we have been taught is not exactly the truth, and they do it by design. So look at the word human. HU is for humans. When I was in chemistry school, they said humus stands for those dark earth, full of nutrients. So HU is for humus, meaning the soil or the earth. Man is the word Christos in Greek. It means a spirit or a soul. And the scripture says, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. So man, you have the image of the Most High, not the image that, because when you quote this verse, when you put this idea of evolution to Christians, they'll say, it means our God looks like a monkey. No, the image is the character. It is a spiritual identity. It doesn't mean that the Most High looks like an ape. No, very, very important to be able to note this part. It's really, really important here. So where did all this happen? The incarnation. For the very first time, this happened in equator. Why? Because that's where the sun is at its highest. Because melanin, the skin that we incarnated, is dark skin. It absorbs sunlight. So sunlight comes from the sun, and your body needs to absorb it through the pigmentation of the melanin to break down the energy of the sun into vitamin D for a proper metabolism of your body. So it happened at first in the equator where this happened. If you look at the world map, you will notice that it actually fits like a puzzle, right? If you take South America, you push it close to Africa, it actually fits. You take North America, you bring it closer, you bring Asia that side, you put it together. I'm excluding Australia because Australia is not a continent which a landmass. Australia was what happened later on. Actually, the Earth had two moons, huh? Two moons. But because of what happened, the catastrophe that happened, which I'll speak about it soon, one of the moons fell and created the land of Australia. But if you connect the other continents, you notice that they fit like a puzzle. That's why I made an image here. You see, so we don't live in a sphere globe. No, we live in a dome. At the outskirts, there's an ice wall. Okay. So if you connect all the continents together, you notice that Africa is right at the center by the equator. And the sun rotates right in the middle, where you see where Africa is over there. The sun rotates around there in the middle. So that's the configuration of how it was. If you puzzle in all the continents together, it actually fits in correctly. But something happened, my dear brothers and sisters. Today, we have continents spread across. It means something happened that led to the division of the tectonic plates. Because 12 million years ago, when the Simbis created the landmass of the Earth was compacted close by the equator. But now, the continents have been spread across. So definitely, even by the look of the islands, you can tell that no, something happened that basically separated these tectonic plates. We'll speak about this soon. So you can see here on this map where the sun is, it's rotating right at the center over there. We shall explain in another lecture how it creates day and night. We have explanations for this, but we shall explain in another lecture. You can see where the Earth is. It's a flat, it's a diamond. They say it's a diamond globe dome. Nothing comes in, nothing comes in, nothing goes out. You can only come into this dimension by incarnation. So NASA spends 40 billion US dollars a year to drive an idea that people go to the moon, they fly to the space. It's not true. Because many of the constellations which are outside the Earth, they are millions of light years away. Okay, you cannot fly an engine at what speed to arrive those constellations, because most of these constellations, they are million light years away. For example, to arrive in the constellation of Sirius, you have to fly an engine at 350,000 kilometers per hour. It will take you 42 years. So tell me, which engine on Earth can fly at that speed? The fastest plane on Earth only flies at 14,000 kilometers per hour. So cinema has been put on us to keep us as slaves. NASA spent 40 billion US dollars to drive the line of a globe Earth to give an idea of things which are spiritual, but they make it physical. We shall explain again in details later. So if you look at the scriptures, it says in Genesis, scripture says, let there be a vault between the waters to separate the water from the water. So as a Christian, you can read this. A vault, it gives you an idea that it's a dome. It's written in the scriptures. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault and the water above. It means above there's water. Now, if you look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 4, this side on the bottom, the scripture says that let there be lights in the firmament. It means in the firmament, which is within the dome, let there be lights to govern the day and the night. It means the sun is within the dome. Not what we are taught that the sun is outside the dome. No, the sun is within. Sometimes you sit in your house, you can tell that the sun is here. You can literally say the sun is here, because how can something which is bigger than the earth be blocked by the clouds? I mean, you have to use your logic. Can the clouds block an entire sun which is bigger than the earth? It doesn't make sense. So you have to be able to ask yourself this kind of questions. As a spirit, ask yourself questions always. Details on the foundation of the earth, which I'll speak about in a different class. So the earth was like this about 12 million years ago. And then around 22,000 BC, the tectonic plates divided. We shall explain why this happened. And incarnation for the spirit comes through the dome and then incarnates into the primates for the very first time. So it means for the very first time, the primates that received the first humans that evolved in the heart of Africa, they were right by the equator. It means by this time around, very, very important, these different races did not exist because we were in the equator where the sun is at full maturity. And these animals were created from the soil. It means they were created from the soil of Africa. It's dark soil. And the first humans had a dark skin. There were no light skins over here at this particular moment in the very beginning. No. Even when we evolved to become a Homo sapien, there were no white skin available at this particular time. Very, very important to note. So it means when the tectonic plates divided, something very important happened is people were living by the equator. And then when the tectonic plates divided, something happened, I should explain. People were separated. Some people found themselves further away from the equator, closer to the ice wall. So it means the first civilization which began in Africa, it began around Katiopa. They call it Ethiopia today, but it's Katiopa. So Ethiopia is not what you see in the Horn of Africa. No, Ethiopia is the entire Central and Southern Africa. That whole area is called Ethiopia. So it means Cameroon is Ethiopia. Congo is Ethiopia. Nigeria is Ethiopia. Sudan is Ethiopia. Zimbabwe is Ethiopia. Botswana, Namibia, all those places are Ethiopia. So they create all these countries in 1885 to just confuse things. But when we speak about Ethiopia, we speak about the heart of Africa and the center of Africa. So it means the first humans, when you arrive at Homo sapien, we walked in the heart of Africa by Ethiopia for the very first time. So it means when we incarnated for the very first time, we had the morphology of an animal. For the first time you enter into a car, you're not Lewis Hamilton, no. You struggle, first of all, to master the car. So we're basically in the first phase of Australopithecus afarensis. The Symbies were there to guide this process of evolution. Because today you can walk. Why can you walk, Brother Lebo? You can walk because you went through this process of evolution. Because right now, if you never went through the process of evolution, how can you just come for the very first time and begin to walk? It's impossible. So you have in your DNA, there is data registered that you went through this process. Because when you're born, you simply have already the notions that you bring in, your DNA memory is registered and it simply incarnates into the body and the body does the same thing. I think many of you do IT, you know that if you have a file which is already loaded, you put it into a new system, even the time of loading takes very, very, very fast. If you put in a new file, it takes a long time, you see? So this is very important to know. So we're basically at the level of Australopithecus afarensis, and then we moved on to become Homo habilis. So remember, the vibration of the spirit begins to change the morphology of the body. So it means for the very first time, when we incarnated, we definitely had a morphology of an animal, but later, after several incarnations, the new animal species did not feel in affinity with his ape mother anymore because he now was different. He moved further and further away from his ape mother and he began to have his own experience differently because the spirit began to change the vibrational frequency of the physical body. Even the way he used to eat began to change. I think by Homo habilis, we began to make an effort to use stones and killing animals. There was some sense of organization. This is taught in history, but it has been polluted. We're trying to give you the truth here at Zola Bantu. We had a sense of killing of animals and trying to make some food and all this. But even the killing of animals is also polluted because the first primates did not consume meat. Meat came after. We shall speak about this later. So we moved to a Homo habilis, and then we moved to a Homo erectus. We became a little bit more conscious. We began to organize ourselves in groups. We could store some food on the side. So we moved from the level of being an animal to becoming a human. It was a process, and the symbies were there to make sure that this process functioned and went well in the right way. Up to the point we became a Homo sapien, because we felt now like, okay, animals are naked. They're always walking naked. but we felt like covering our bodies. And it's very, very important. Why did we feel like covering our bodies and wearing clothes? Why didn't we continue to, just like how the primates are with nothing on, but we felt like covering our body? It's a very, very interesting concept here. Why do we feel like covering our body? It's very, very interesting here. What are your thoughts, but I'm fuller? But I'm fuller. Why do you think we felt like wearing clothes? But I'm fuller. What do you think? Well, James Fuller.
Matondo, one thing is we are becoming conscious of ourselves, that we needed to cover ourselves. The second thing is the weather also. There are times when it's cold and when it is
very interesting
cold, so we need to cover ourselves against the cold. But that sense of we are standing and covered, it's we tend to become conscious. That I think that's what the Christianity has tried to say, that the human being was being called by the Creator. Where are you? I'm hiding. Why? Because I'm naked.
Look at that.
We've been misinformed.
So we have been taught that he was hiding because he was naked. Look at some of this concept. Because even by full, I've noticed this. If you have a small child, you begin to clean the child when the child is a baby. By the time the child gets a certain age, he begins to say, "No, I want to bath by myself. I cannot. You cannot bath me anymore." But I'm full. You have children. You know that experience. A certain age where your child says,
I have grandchildren right now who are 6 years, 8 years, 9 years. I say, no, Grandpa, let me bath by myself. They are becoming conscious that especially the little girl is becoming conscious that she's different from her brothers. So Grandpa should not give me a bath, but maybe Grandma.
Very interesting, Madam Fuller. Very, very, because even when you look at how we came from the spiritual kingdom, we're descending, we're in different bodies. The first kingdom of light body, the second kingdom of light body, the third kingdom of light body, the temple space body, we wore it. We entered, we wore the mental body, and then we wore the astral body, and then finally we wore the physical body provided by our mother and our father through sex. We felt like covering something else. It's very interesting here, my dear brothers and sisters. It is very deep and spiritual for you to understand this. It's really amazing. So, brings us to the Neanderthals. Charles Darwin was a Luciferian being, and he wanted, with the complot of other white people, to make the white race seem superior. It is very important, this particular part. They wanted to make the white race to be superior. So they purposely inserted a white skin in the evolution chain. It's very, very important, because I want my Christians to follow this part very careful, because the idea of evolution is completely put away because people think that we evolved to become white. It means the white race is superior to us. No. The white race was put in the evolution chain purposely to say that Africans are inferior to white people. But no, Neanderthals never existed when we arrived for the very first time. When we became even conscious, we spent about 150,000 years. There were no white people, only black people in the heart of Africa. Neanderthals appeared after the fall, when the tectonic plates were divided. We shall explain how they appeared. But white people put Neanderthals in the evolution chain to say that white people are superior. That's why many people today in the conscious community, they tend to deny the theory of evolution, because immediately they see a white man at the end. And that's a problem. But no, this was a strike of the Illuminatis. Charles Darwin had to put Neanderthals as the Homo sapien to think that we Africans, they evolved further than us. No. So this part is very, very important for you guys to understand. It is the biggest lie. Neanderthal skin, this white skin, it is a degradation. It is a loss of melanin. It happened because of sin. It is a disease. I'm sorry to say to my fellow friends who are white, but it is the truth. We love you, but your skin lacks melanin. It wasn't the same way in the beginning. When the spirits incarnated and arrived at spiritual maturity and they began the first civilizations in Africa, they were not light skin. No, this was added later on by Luciferian beings to create and lock people in that big prison of racism. The devil is very wise, my dear brothers and sisters. He has created a big egregore of racism, of white supremacy, where people think they are superior to other people because of their skin color. It is very, very important to know this thing, that the Neanderthals, and they also said the Neanderthals came to Earth with spaceships. No. Neanderthals never existed when man became conscious in Africa and began the first civilization. In the first civilization, there were no white people. But white people came later. The races came after the division of the tectonic plates, and we shall explain how that happened. So if you look at the family of Eve, because some people in Christianity, they make the argument to say, so you're saying we came from monkeys. How come other monkeys have stayed monkeys? This is the problem. People don't want to reason. The Symbians created many species of apes and chimpanzees and primates. Many species of apes were created, but there was one particular species that was prepared by the Symbians to receive the second Adam. So it's like you're in a family of 7 people, but a silverback, and one of your brothers has been chosen to save the Lord. Are we going to say, oh, okay, why did only they choose him and not the others? No, the Most High himself knows he prepared one species of the primates to be the one to receive that spiritual vibration. It means when the primate, the female primate was pregnant, instead of the soul of the primate to incarnate, there was a cosmic turn. The Symbies redirected that energy to incarnate the pregnancy. There was a cosmic turn. That is how we arrived, we entered. We're born naturally. Nothing like coming in spaceships, like how we are taught. No. Because remember, you're in a dome. Nothing comes in physically. Energy is in a different vibration, so it can pass through the dome. But matter is heavy. It cannot cross through the dome. So this part is very important. So one species of primate was chosen. And the scripture says in 3:21, and God made clothes of animal skin for Adam and his wife, and he clothed them. So the spirit wore the animal body, and then he began to evolve, to master the body, to basically put this physical body to be in the same vibrational frequency with his spirit. I'm sure many of you, when you enter into the car for the very first time, at first you struggle how to drive. You're trying to find it very hard to maintain the clutch and the brakes. Sometimes you may even cause accidents. But it comes to a certain particular time where you do it so many times, and then you begin to remember. Now when you're driving, Brother Victor, when you're driving these days, you don't even look at the clutch anymore. You don't even look at the gears anymore. You just drive. Your brain has already knows, okay, at a particular time I should put this, I should put the clutch. It means it's not registered in you, right? So it's the same thing that happened here in the evolution, up to the point where we became Homo sapiens sapien. So even the learning of the languages, it took a long time. You think you arrived for the very first time and you could speak in Chichewa or speak in Nyanja. No, learning languages, it was also took a long time to master languages, So another problem that we face in this question is that people think that the body dies because of sin. This is Christian teachings. Because in Christianity, Adam and Eve, when they sinned, I'm just speaking from the religious point of view, when they sinned, that is when we began to die. No, my dear brothers and sisters. The dying of the physical body is not because of sin. You are a foreigner. You have entered into a car. You do not have the same life expectancy with the car. The car is matter. The physical body is matter, and matter has 4 phases. Matter is born, matter grows, matter arrives at maturation, and then matter decomposes. It is a law established by the Most High. Matter has 4 phases. It means Badam Fula was a young boy. He grew, he became a teenager, his body was maturing. He became a young man at 30, 35 years old, and then now he's old. It means his body matter is going towards decomposition. But the spirit of Badamfula, who is inside his body, does not die. But the body that we entered into is locked in time. It is not eternal. So the body does not die because of sin. So people think that, okay, because you have accepted Jesus Christ as your savior, it means now you won't die anymore. But you die every day now. Since you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and savior, people who have accepted Jesus have been dying. So there's a lot of confusion here. So the death, I don't like to say death, the decomposition of your body, it is not because of sin. Sin is at the spiritual level, my dear brothers and sisters. Sin is at the spiritual level, not at the physical level. When you disobey the Most High, you disobey the Most High spiritually. It's not necessarily your physical body. So your physical body decomposes because it's locked in time. It has 4 phases: growth, birth, growth, maturation, and then decomposes. That's why even the earth that we live in, my dear brothers and sisters, the earth, Mama and Toto, the earth is also matter. It means the earth was born, it grew, and now it has arrived at maturation, and it's also going towards decomposition. The scientists on the internet tell you that the earth is going towards the black hole. It means a time will come when the earth will decompose, and if you haven't gained spiritual maturity, you will decompose with the earth. So that is why the 12 cosmic times is there, and now we are in Aquarius. We have to leave the earth. But Luciferian beings want to keep you in mental prisons, so you decompose with them with the earth. So it's very, very important. If you see the picture below, matter, your body will always betray you. In the West of all these days, they have manipulated the food. I think back in the days, we used to live about 120, 200 years because we ate natural. The earth was not polluted. The water we drank was clean. So we ate natural food. So even our life experience was longer, 120 years, 200 years. Your body stayed for that long to allow you even to do a better experience as a spirit. But now with GMO foods, with pollution, with 9 to 5 jobs, stress, and problems in your families, how can you live longer? 40 years, you're gone. You see? So very, very important. The body does not die because of sin. Okay. The body dies, decomposes naturally. So it means if you haven't finished your spiritual experience and your body has decomposed, you don't go and rest in the breast of Abraham. You have to continue your experience. It means you have to reincarnate back into a different body and continue your experience. If you're driving your car, Brother Victor, and then there's something wrong with your car, accident, you get out as a driver. You get into another car. Please keep the question, Brother Fuller. So I'm about to end and then we'll have the question. So it's very important to know that the body does not decompose because of sin. The first civilizations in Africa were very, very important, especially about 20,000 years ago in Kisangani in Congo. They found this bone, Ishango bone. So even our ancestors knew some mathematics things back in the days, 20,000 years ago. In Congo, they found the Ishango bone. It means people who were there 20,000 years ago, they knew about mathematics, all these things back in the days. The question that you have in your heart could be, how then did the continental plates divide? That is the question that many of you have in your mind right now. What happened exactly? The event, we are told in Congo ancestry, it happened around 27,000 BC when the tectonic plates divided. I can see Brother Victor is here. Brother Victor, what do you think the plates divided? Brother Victor, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I actually followed some of the lessons in the past, and I think you mentioned there was a great war, like a nuclear war that divided the continents. But from the Bible, I think there were two references. There was one reference of in the days of Peleg, that was when the earth was divided. So I don't know if there's any correlation, but
in the days of Peleg, tell us more, brother.
Yeah, so that said, he was named one of the descendants of Noah. It said in his days, they named him Peleg, but then they now explain that because it was in his days that the earth was divided. It could be that it was divided by language because the people were scattered because they were, they built the Tower of Babel and they were scattered abroad. So that's what I think happened, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Brother Victor. I can see Brother Gambori Pai Solomon is here. Brother Gambori Pai, what are your thoughts, Brother Gambori Pai Solomon? You unmute your mic. Okay, Brother Jameson Fuller, what are your thoughts? I think you had your hand earlier as well. Yes, Mr. Jameson Fuller, what are your thoughts?
On this one, if you could pass, my hand was up for something else that was said, which I found very interesting. But it will come after when you allow questions. My turn.
Wonderful. Silverback Congo, what are your thoughts?
What was the question again? You talk about why the continent,
Yes.
why the earth split it, right?
Absolutely, brother.
To be honest with you, I do not know, except based on what they said in the scriptures, as a brother was mentioning, the Tower of Babel. I've always questioned about that Tower of Babel. Is like, so if they were confused, yet at the same time there were some of them who still spoke the same language. How come they didn't continue the development of the building? I have more questions than
Wow, very interesting. By Silverback. Mr. Elikia, what are your thoughts, Queen Paulette? Queen Paulette Elikia. All right, let's have Brother Labor. Labor, what are your thoughts? Yes, Queen Paulette, if you unmute your mic.
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. I was trying to find the mic. Yes, I was thinking that. Okay, so there was so much.
There's so much background noise on your side.
Oh, there was so much background noise.
Okay.
Really?
Okay, now
okay.
Yes.
Yes, I'm thinking that because of the sin that was actually brought down to the earth, to mankind, by those angels or so-called angels that were actually that were sent down to earth, who actually corrupted mankind, and it reached a point where the Father had to actually separate them, or separate man into different regions across the earth, and through his power, or through the energies, he separated the earth into divisions, and those tectonic activity took place to really separate into the different continents that we have, or different regions that exist today, just to separate man from each other, and probably by their languages, they were sent to different regions.
There's so much background noise, but thank you so much.
It must be the wind.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you so much for that input, Queen.
Yes.
Yes, I think the answers that you all have given are absolutely right. Because the scriptures, the Bible is a symbolic book, huh? I know it has been manipulated in the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Constantinople. Up to 80% of the Bible is manipulated. They have changed the characters, they have changed the places, but likely there are some indices somewhere we can be able to see that there's still some truth if you're able to decode it in the right way to be able to understand what event really happened here. In the Bible, in Genesis, Genesis 11, from verse 1 to 9, we are taught about the story of the Tower of Babel. And I was taught about this story when I was in Christianity, and they always told us about this tower. Some people were building a tower up to the heavens. So I asked myself, oh my God, the heavens is like in a different dimension, first of all. So if you're going to build a tower, how tall does it have to be to get to the heavens? And then I realized that, okay, the heavens just means the sky. So it must have been a tall building. So you notice in the scriptures in verse 4, it says that then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that touches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. You can already feel, huh? Let me try to make a name for myself. And in verse 7, it says, the scripture says, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. It is a very interesting passage here, but in spirituality, we're going to decode the meanings of this story because most of the stories in the scriptures are symbols. You have to be able to decode it. If you look at verse 4, it says, so we can be able to make a name for ourselves. It speaks about a group of people who have moved away from the Most High and they want to create a name for themselves. It means self-glorification and egocentrism. The symbol tower, when you build a tower, it means you are raising yourself above other people. You want everybody to look at you, but I'm full of me, mine. I cannot rely on anybody else. I don't need the Most High in my life. Let me focus on myself and let me make a name for myself, James Fuller, Yakuba,
That's
me.
right. Yes.
That is the tower of yourself. So the people organize themselves, they group themselves and begin to build a tower up to the heavens. I'll get to Queen Elike. And so it says that the scriptures in verse 7 says, come, let us go down and confuse their language. It's a symbolic language. It means people began to engage in certain activities on the earth, which was in disobedience to the laws of creation and to the laws of the Most High. And what happened is there was evil in the world. And because of the activities which was happening in the world, I think by then we are taught in Congo ancestry that the scientists of the day were practicing nuclear activities. Because of egocentrism and love of money and materialism. These nuclear activities exploded and it led to what we call, there was a war. The First World War happened, not what we are taught in 1915, 1918. The First World War was what was mentioned in the Tower of Babel. There was a war among people. They fought a great war, and it was involving nuclear
Wow.
Yes, nuclear power at a particular time. The scientists created these nuclear activities. And because of those nuclear activities, it led to the division of the tectonic plates. People, all of a sudden, the tectonic plates were divided and water rose up and some parts were pushed to the further close to the ice wall at that particular time, the first nuclear war. And there are so many catastrophes of the nuclear war, the consequences. Many of our brothers and sisters who were in the heart of Africa, because of those mutations and those effects of the nuclear war, they even began to give birth to pygmies. All these things are consequences of what happened after this particular war. So the earth was now separated. People were spread all over the earth at this particular time. If you look at, for example, the tower of egocentrism, you're raising yourself, you're trying to see as if you are the one. You don't need the Most High anymore. And it led to basically the division of the tectonic plates. And because of this division of the tectonic plates, it led to the appearance of many continents, as you can see over there in the picture that I'm going to show here. And you notice that at the further of the earth, there's what we call the ice wall. There's an ice wall at the further of the earth. So many of the continents that were separated, they found themselves closer to the ice wall. They found themselves very close to the ice wall, and it led to what we call, I'll try to explain. So many continents found themselves further at the edges of the ice wall, and this happened around 37,000 BC. I stand to be corrected. 37,000 BC. It means 37,000 before the birth of Jesus Christ or Master Yeshua. That is when this catastrophe happened. Now, places like South America and North America found themselves closer to the ice wall. People were separated. Who? Black people, melanated people. And worst of all, people's hearts were evil. And the brothers and sisters who were closer to the ice wall, very important, very, very important for you to listen to this particular part. Those that were closer to the ice wall, that leads us to the Neanderthals. Black people who were found by the closer to the ice wall, because of their low frequencies, and there was so much pain over there close to the ice wall, there was so much coldness, less food, people's hearts began to change. And the Neanderthals, the Luciferian beings that were locked in the abysms by the Most High, profited from this fallen skin, because when they were close to the ice wall, after about 10,000 years, they began to lose their skin pigmentation. It means they began to look at this skin, they began to lose their melanin. 37,000 BC up to around 27,000 BC, 10,000 years up to 15,000 years, those that were close to the ice wall began to lose their skin pigmentation. So it means the skin began to, first it was black, it became red like the Indians, it became a bit yellow like the Chinese, and then it became like an albino. Today you have albinos in Africa. It became a bit like the albinos, and then it became completely white like you see white people today. Now, because the white skin in spirituality, first of all, in science, light skin tends to reflect light. Dark skin absorbs light. It means it's much easier for a black person to listen to the message of spirituality of the Most High than a white person. So the light skin, first of all, in terms of physics, they cannot absorb light. And the people who were living in these terrible conditions close to the ice wall, they began to lose their skin pigmentation. And the Luciferian beings, the Nephilims who are locked in the lower astral world, profited in the incarnations of during their birth process, they infiltrated the earth. Now, it means a couple who is closer to the regions of the ice wall, he has a child, instead of a spirit of Ubuntu coming from the spiritual kingdom to incarnate the pregnancy, the Luciferian beings profited from it and incarnated humanity for the very first time into these skins. And they began to give birth to their brothers and sisters, bringing them in numbers. And these people that basically began to lose their skin pigmentation, reptilian beings into humanity for the very first time. They gave birth to children who are like them. And these people are not people who live in Ubuntu. They don't have a heart of love. These are fallen entities. When they come into the world, for them, it's first of all to destroy humanity. It means the Bantu people. They incarnated for the very first time, closer to the ice wall, in the light skin, and they built the kingdom of Atlantis. Atlantis was basically a kingdom of Nephilims, reptilian beings. It was a city, we are told in the books of Plato, because Plato came to Egypt. Plato came to Egypt, and our ancestors told Plato about a land which was called Atlantis. It was drowned because the people who were in Atlantis, they began to practice again nuclear activities to dominate the world. And unfortunately, Atlantis was drowned. The drowning of Atlantis happened around 15,000 years ago. If you notice our ancestor, Nimi Congo, Europeans call Noah, he was by the heart of Africa. a black person. He had 3 children, Zola, Ngangu, and Lendo. Europeans have changed their names to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, but they were black people in Africa. So during the time when Atlantis was being drowned because of the nuclear activities, Noah was in the heart of Africa by Ethiopia, Katiopa. Yes, he built a boat to survive the flood because Atlantis was being drowned. And Atlantis was drowned to eliminate these Nephilims from the world. Read the story of Noah properly. People were laughing when he was building the boat. Who the hell do you think you are? Blah, 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 blah. He didn't know that the Most High had planned other things to be able to drown Atlantis. Atlantis was drowned, and Noah was in the boat with his 3 children and their wives. It's in the scriptures. But some Nephilim beings survived the flood, unfortunately. So Noah left the heart of Africa. He went towards Egypt to build the Egyptian civilization. It comes from the family of Noah. Now, if you see the configuration of the earth, you will notice that Egypt is almost at the center of the world over here. So Noah was sent to Egypt because the Most High wanted the brothers and sisters who were separated by a tectonic plates can come to learn Kimuntu in Egypt. So the fallen entities who survived the flood, they built the civilization of Atlantis, later on the Greeks and the Babylonians. Oh, these are fallen entities, many of them. They used to start coming to Egypt to learn Kimuntu. So people were coming, the Greeks were coming to Egypt. The Babylonians were coming to Egypt. The Persians were coming to Egypt. Everybody was coming to Egypt to learn Kimuntu. But unfortunately, when they arrived, at first they wanted to learn. We taught them mathematics. We taught them so many things, science, medicine, agriculture, even marriage, because these Nephilim beings did not know the concept of marriage. They used to live in the mountains, there in the cold areas, just like savages and animals. They never had the muntu. Mind you, these are Nephilim beings. They used to sleep with each other. Men and men will sleep with each other. Women and women will sleep with each other. Daughter and father will sleep with each other. They never had any sense because these are Nephilims, Neanderthals. They live like savages. But later, they came to King Gipiti. They learned about marriage from our ancestors. They saw that a man and a woman get married and together they have children. So children are born into a cadre of a family. They learned this from our ancestors in Egypt. The Greeks, the Babylonians, they came to learn in Egypt. So this is how the appearance of the different races appeared. It was not that they came on spaceships. It's not scientifically true because we live in a dome. It's not true. They came by incarnation, but they infiltrated the pregnancy of these fallen skins that you see there. So the Nephilims, the reptilian beings, it's not to say that all white people are Nephilims. No. We have the white elites, the top 1% of white people, many of them who are the owners of the multinational companies, many of them are actually the reptilian beings. But other white people that you see, there are some good white people, innocent, but they just profit from the light skin. And because they are also mentally extroverted like many Africans, they swim into the water of racism and think you are inferior, boosted by the theory of Charles Darwin that those people, they're inferior because you are white, you evolved better than them. So many of them, many white people, up to 50%, are also brainwashed by these Nephilim beings to think that they're superior than Black people. It's very unfortunate. But we shall speak about this more in the fall. So it means in our next class, we shall speak about class number 27, the fall of the first human civilization. What really happened? But before speaking about the fall, we shall speak about there was a good life before the fall. How did we live in the first civilization in Katiopa? Because we lived in the right way in the beginning in Katiopa, before the place we divided. Before all these things happened, we lived in the right way. We lived the Mahat. We lived in Ubuntu. The woman had his role, she respected it. The man had his role, he respected it. But something happened with the person who was helping us, Lucifer, Ra, Nembumbaloa. He influenced the feminine activity into basically leading to the fall of the first civilization in Ethiopia. So the first civilization was in Ethiopia, Katiopa, 37,000 BC. And then the tectonic plates was divided, and then Noah went to Egypt and started the second civilization. It was in Egypt. It started from 15,000 BC after the drowning of Atlantis up to 2000 BC with the death of Pharaoh Kenatu. The Europeans call him Akhenaten. And then after the end of Egypt, you know what happened? The Greeks and Babylonians took over. Alexander the Great came, took over Egypt, took our writings, took everything to Greece. Later on, the Romans are the ones that came to dominate the Greeks. They took the Greeks' writings, and then later on, they ruled the entire world. Master Yeshua even came in the time when the Romans were still ruling the world. And the Romans ruling the world. Later on, Rome came to fall. The generals were scrambling for power. It divided into the small kingdoms of Europe, Europe, that you know, Franco, France, Belgium, Spain, Anglo-Saxon, England, you know, Portugal. They are the ones that came again to look for ancestors in Africa for colonization and slavery. So that's the line of history. We shall speak about this in depth, but we shall go back that there was a good life before the fall. And then secondly, we shall look at basically how did we fall? The Bible speaks about Adam and Eve ate the fruit, Luciferian being influence. We'll speak about this. The Cain and Abel, it means the intellect versus the intuition. Materialization began. There's so much materialism in the civilizations that came up. Division of the tectonic plates, we covered it today. The appearance of other races, we spoke about it today. And then the flood, the drowning of Atlantis. We shall speak about this in our next class. So it's really important for you people to know these things, because this information they will not teach you in school, and they just want you to believe in what they have shown you in their schools, go to their churches, and pray to their white God. Even Master Yeshua, who was the son of Africa, he was turned into white. They took the son of, I think, Pope Andrews as the image of Christ, who was a gay lover of Michelangelo, the artist. So you see that Bible says, my people die for the lack of knowledge. So African people are locked in mental prisons. So the movie The Matrix that you watch, it actually speaks a lot to humanity. The Matrix is real. People are locked in mental prisons. Religion is a big prison. So if you're locked in mental prisons, you cannot do anything. You know, that's why we are stuck in precarity, in poverty in Africa, believing for a savior in the sky. So these things is very difficult for us to be able to continue. If we're going to continue living this way with dogmas and precepts, it will be very difficult. So that brings us to the end of our class for today on the beginning of the human civilizations in the heart of Africa. And in next week, we shall speak about the fall. How did we fall? What exactly happened? We shall explain in depth, and then we shall move on from there. I can see Queen Elikia had a hand up. Queen Elikia, if you can jump in. Queen Elikia Paulette, come in, Queen.
Yes, thank you so much. I just have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the at the moment you were describing the characteristics of those Neanderthalic beings.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, is because of their characteristics and behaviors, how they actually were, isn't that why they are referred to in ancient writings as the beasts of the earth?
There's so much background noise on the wind.
Oh,
Can
sorry, it's the wind. Are you hearing me a little better?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I was asking you the question because of those Neanderthalic beings, because of their characteristics, their behaviors, and how they were as savages, wasn't the reason why they were described in ancient writings as the beasts
Yes.
in the earth? Yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, Queen, absolutely.
Okay.
Because
Right.
these Neanderthals, mind you, they are. Remember, Lucifer was cast down from heaven. It means the one who was helping us to master the physical body was one of a great Simbi, Lucifer. He was helping humanity in the very first time. So he was a Simbi, an entity. Okay, he's an entity. He's in a different dimension, yes, but he's an entity. He was speaking to our ancestors through the priest via intuition. He was located in Kakongo. He would send information to the priest via intuition, and the priest will communicate to the pharaoh or the leader or the chief. That's how we communicated, you know. But unfortunately, what happened is he began to send negative information to the priest. That's what the Bible says, that Eve ate the fruit, because the priests were women back in the days. So they began to take negative information from Lucifer. And then when these Simbis, Lucifer and his angels and his team of angels, was cast down from Kakongo into the lower astral world, and then they profited to incarnate back on earth through the fallen skin of the Neanderthals. So they were born into the physical dimension, but they are spirits, they are entities, they don't have a soul. When an entity incarnates into a human body, he's born with no soul. It means he has no feelings and emotions. He can kill 1,000 people and he does not feel anything. He can see blood, he does not feel anything. But you and me, Muntu, when you see blood, you feel the emotions. But entities have no soul, because when an entity incarnates, infiltrate the physical body, he's born with no soul. So that's why they're called beasts, Queen Polite, because they behave in a very vicious way.
Yes.
Like machines.
Right.
They're not even human beings, they are machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the form of human, but within
Yes,
themselves,
they
they're not
incarnate. Yes,
humans.
they
Yes.
incarnate the physical body, but inside their nucleus is
Yes.
absolutely polluted.
Yes.
That's why they go into the lab and modify seeds and do all these things, bomb atomic bombs. It's them who are
Right.
doing these things here. I can see a hand
Right.
from Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Fuller.
Matondo. I noticed that the lesson is very powerful and very loaded. It was difficult for me to take effective notes. So my hope is that this could be posted, then read it through carefully and see if I can shorten it by writing effective notes. And
Yes.
number two,
Yes.
number
Yes.
two, I know something very interesting. When you are talking about it, we don't live long anymore like the people of old. And I noticed something extremely interesting in that we, starting from Genesis 1, chapter 1, chapter 2, we were told what to eat. It was the fruit, the herb, the nuts. But you know, it goes all the way until after the flood. In chapter 9 of Genesis, that's when you find in verse 3, the Most High is saying to Noah, that's verse 3, every moving thing that have, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herb. That's when we were allowed to eat meat after the flood, not before. And you notice those who live on the other side of the flood lived much, much longer than ourselves. But notice, when we begin to eat right now, because of eating too much meat, we have these complications called gout and other problems of the body because of what we eat and the things we do, which cause a lot of stress to our bodies, making them, like you are saying, begin to decompose earlier than they should have.
Yes.
Because of what we eat and what we do, not sleeping much, not drinking sufficient water. The third one, you mentioned again, the, this devil, whatever other names are, has worked so hard to make the Muntu begin to look at the white skin as being the best. I will explain. In my community, if a lady married a white man, she would be envied by everybody and say, your children will be light-skinned. There is that envy of the white skin, envy of white skin. The devil has made people to think white skin is better. And I've noticed in countries like those in South America, there's been whitening of the skin, and the people themselves look forward to it, to their skins to be whitened by intermarrying with the white people. And the white people want that very much. You notice the time of the slave trade, a lot of raping of our people happened so that the skin, the black skin, will be gotten rid of. And that's why is it Argentina? Look at that football team. They don't want a black skin. Not that there are no black skins in Argentina. They are in the background. Ask the president, says, no, there are no black people here. He's lying. They are there. Those that football team composed only of white skin persons. This is how sad it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very sad, Mr. James Fuller. Thank you so much for that. If you look at, my dear brothers and sisters, we inherited a physical body. If you look at your physical body, for example, Brother Lebo, if you look at your teeth, the design of your teeth, it looks just exactly like a sheep teeth and a goat sheep. It is designed to grind the food, But if you compare your teeth and teeth, for example, of a tiger or a leopard has teeth for crushing and cutting the food. It means the food which the leopard eats is different from you because of the design of your teeth. That's the first thing. Another thing is, if you look at the abnormal, the intestines of a leopard and a goat is different. But you notice that you as a human being, your intestine layout is the same like the animals that eat green food. So it means your intestine is not designed to be breaking down meat, chicken, and everything. No. Your intestine is designed to break down vegetables and grains and nuts. So we inherited a body. Let me simplify. You were given a car which needs to use petrol and diesel. But now you're using your car, you're putting water, you're putting sand. How do you expect for the car to function well for you? So these Nephilims, they brought this idea of eating meat. It's them who brought this idea of consuming meat because they knew they'll reduce your life expectancy. This was done by design. These are Luciferian beings. They are very smart and they orchestrated all these things by design. So if we, the Montus, do not wake up, because God is not a dictator. And worst of all, the most important thing, you were given a free will. It means you have the power to choose between good and bad. So the Most High cannot intervene in that particular situation. Only you have to rise up and seek for the Most High, then he can intervene because you have the most powerful thing, which is a free will. Your free will is what actually prevents even the Most High from intervening in certain situations. When Eve was about to eat the fruit, God was there. He saw how she was eating the fruit. Why didn't he intervene? Because human beings were given a free will. And the devil profits from our less understanding of the free will to continue to manipulate us. So thank you so much for that input, Brother Fuller, on the food. It's really, really, really important. And today, the evil ones have basically made the light skin to be superior. Charles Darwin was there. He even made it into evolution, and he confused many people. First of all, he removed the part that the spirit incarnated. He said we were just wise we came from apes and became wise. That's it. Like, because they wanted to erase God completely from the Bible and even from the life of the person. They want to remove the existence of God. They said we were just animals and we evolved and became wise. No. So you have to be very careful with these teachings. It's very dangerous. And I want to get your input. Brother Lebo, any questions or input? Then we can have Brother Silverback and Brother Zivayo before we end. Brother Lebo, any input or questions from you, Brother Lebo?
I've been attentively listening, my king, so I can someone can come in maybe to the question.
Wonderful. Brother Silverback Congo, any input from you? Or questions?
Yeah, we're dealing with a extremely sophisticated demonic beings. And they may smile with you, they may tell you they love you, they may even show you kindness. But their nature and their lineage, their line does not go back to the Tanzambe. So I have resolved in my spirit that any of my brothers and sisters who do not align with my father, those people I have removed myself from their lives. We have to come to those terms in order for us to what? To be utilized by the Most High. If not, yes, the Tanzambi will allow us to be. Tanzambi would do what is natural. Is if you don't love self, if you can't even see yourself, if you can't preserve yourself, who's gonna do it for you? Right? The Tanzambi gave you the free will. If you cannot even utilize the instinct, the animal instinct of yourself to preserve yourself, who will? Who's gonna do it for you?
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Brother Silverback. Any input from you, Brother Victor Salu? And then we can have Brother Zivai. Any questions? Or I think you had other questions as well. Yeah, go on, Brother Victor.
I learned some new things today, and I'm really glad I joined the class. I just wanted to clarify a certain area when it says that giants were in the earth, and there were, in recent times we found, or it was reported that bones of giants were found. And you also mentioned that the consequences of the first nuclear war was people giving birth to pygmies. So are we, as a result, or did we reduce in stature because of the consequences of the war, where people before now, like Noah, were they much bigger than us?
Very good question.
I don't know. I just wanted, yeah.
Victor, have you watched the movie Avatar?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Did you notice how that the brother was actually in the real world and they sent his consciousness into the body of those humanoid?
Yes, I
They're
saw
telling
that.
you about incarnation right there in plain sight.
Okay.
They projected his consciousness into the body of the humanoid, and he was able to control the humanoid from where he was. Just like a human being, you are an incarnation of consciousness into this physical body. They're telling you about incarnation. And notice those humanoid were very tall and built in stature as compared to the human beings. The first human beings that walked in the earth, from the way I've done my studies, the humans were going even up to 12 feet tall, 12 to 14 feet tall. The women were going up to 10 feet tall. We're talking about people who are 4 to 5 meters tall. Some people even say they were much taller than that, even up to 8 to 10 meters. It means, so when they speak about giants, yes, the sons of God, because, Brother Victor, we are gems of spirits, okay? We also have our elders who are called the primordials. Brother Victor, if a primordial comes now and incarnates a pregnancy, he will elevate the physical body to the stature of the primordial. He will even look more beautiful and more giant in size because of his spiritual dimension. So when the spirit incarnated, they say the sons of God entered and they gave birth to giants. It means the humans who were being born from that fusion, they were huge in size. I think the Bible speaks about Goliath being so huge and all that. Yes,
Yeah.
we have regressed in height, in size, in life expectancy, in all parameters, my brother, we have reduced, even in knowledge, because back in the days, our ancestors could speak to the trees, they could speak to the fire, they could speak to the water. So in terms of intelligence, we have regressed. Height, we have regressed. In terms of life expectancy, we have regressed, even intellectually. In all parameters, we've completely regressed, my brother. Yes,
All right,
please.
thank you so much. Thank you. And just to conclude, in the reign of 1,000 years, I think things are gradually beginning to go back to how it was. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. Within 1,000 years, it means they are cleaning the earth of the Nephilims. It means the earth is rising to the fifth dimension. It means the mothers of the day, as we are approaching closer and closer to the end of 1,000 years, the mothers of the day will only be giving birth to good people. More and more bad people are being removed. The parable of the weeds, they are separating the weeds from the wheat. The weeds are being taken to the fire. It means the Nephilims are being locked out of the earth, and the wheat are being taken to the barn of the Lord during 1,000 years. The parable of the 10 virgins, 5 who were foolish did not participate in the wedding. 5 who were wise went into the wedding. The parable of the banquet, he invited the guests, the VIPs refused, he went to the streets and called the lame and the sick to come to his party, and his party was full. Master Yeshua was speaking about the end of 1,000 years. So we have to be able to increase our vibration, to be able to book our ticket for the end of 1,000 years. For those who arrive at consciousness, you won't even need to participate. You can just return to the spiritual kingdom from there. But for those who still need to learn more, the divine king will be coming soon to lead humanity for the end of 1,000 years. Yes, Queen Paulette. Yes, Queen Paulette Elikia.
Sorry about that. Do you see actually any of the pale skinned people or people that came from the lineage of those white skinned people actually making it into the, as you say, the barn of the Tatanzambe or the creator?
No, they cannot make it, Queen. If you look
Okay.
at the dispensations, the first dimension of innocence, you're in your mother's womb. Second dimension of consciousness, you leave your mother's womb to experience life on earth. Third dimension of choice. You choose whether you want to follow the Most High or not. Fourth dimension of law, respecting the laws of the Most High. Most of these Luciferian beings, Nephilims, they vibrate in the third dimension. They are materialistic, they are egocentric, they love money, they have nothing to do with the Most High. But only people who are in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension will participate. So the Nephilims will never make it through. Even the Bible in Revelation, but Amphula, it says that the beast was locked for 1,000 years. It means the principles that Lucifer left in the world will be removed from the earth for 1,000 years.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I can see Brother Zivai Tsisike. If you can
Thank
jump
you.
in before we end today, Brother Zivai.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for the lesson. I've had some insights into a lot of things that I may have had questions on, but I think I'm a bit more confused now. Not really confused, but
Please ask, my brother. Ask.
questions. One of the questions is regarding the timelines. Okay, so I'm seeing, you're mentioning 37,000 BC. That's when the first incarnation took place.
No. 37,000 BC is when the tectonic plates divided. The first incarnation happened 12 million years ago, brother.
Okay.
Yes, first incarnation happened 12 million years ago. It took us 12 million years to arrive at consciousness, to master the physical body. We became only conscious of who we were only 150,000 years ago.
Okay. I think this solves everything, because I thought 37,000 years ago,
No.
when the first incarnation took place, that's when the people were placed in the garden. Sorry, in the yes, should I call it garden, on Earth? And then I was looking at the other pictures you were sending, and they had some ape species that all have millions of years ago. So I didn't understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
but now it answers first question. Then the other question I have is on vibration. I don't know the sense in which the term is used. Is it used strictly the scientific meaning, or it's symbolic, or it's perhaps it's being used figuratively? Because I fail to understand what it means to vibrate, because the vibration I think I need some clarity there.
Vibration, when they speak about vibration, they just speak of frequency. You know, Brother Sivai,
Yes.
the mic which you're speaking to right now in the Zoom, it's capturing your, if you can put on your mic, Brother Sivai, the mic which you're using, the mic which you're using right now to speak through this Zoom, it's capturing your sound waves at a certain frequency. And
yes,
that frequency is being sent on the air, and then it's entering Zoom, and then it comes to us, we're able to hear you. So vibration is just the frequency at which something is, a state of frequency. The frequency can be increased, it can also be decreased. So when they speak about vibration, it's just frequency, because people think that when they say something is spiritual, it means it's completely invisible. No, it's invisible to your computer, your brain. To you, it's invisible because your brain is calibrated at a certain frequency to see certain things at a certain frequency. Another example could be, if you take your hand, Brother Divine, you begin to swipe your hand on your face at a certain speed, you're seeing your hand, right? But if you increase the speed, it means you begin to swipe your hand faster. Let's say you're swiping it 100 times in a second. It will be invisible to your eyes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it means frequency, it has to do with speed, and at which level that speed is happening. So if you move your hand on your face, say 100 times in 1 second, it will become invisible to you, to your physical eye. That's why even the air that you breathe, your eyes cannot see it because it's in a different frequency. So it means even heaven, that we say heaven, you're going to heaven. Heaven is not an invisible place. It's also a place, but its frequency is much higher than the earth frequency. Because even your thoughts that you're having in your head right now is in a different frequency to your eyes. That's why we cannot see your thoughts. But if you and I go right now to the mental world, I'll be able to see your thoughts like this with the mental body, because the mental body will have the same frequency as your thoughts. It will be visible. You see?
Yes.
I don't know if I've been able to at least give you an idea of vibration and frequency. It's just speed.
I think that part I understand, frequency being the vibration, or vibration being a frequency. But what I don't understand is how it relates to, because I understand we are perceptive, or we are only able to detect certain frequencies. For example, the eyes, there's a whole spectrum that we cannot see, that we cannot detect with our eyes. But it is there, that part. But the part that I don't understand is how somebody can raise their frequency. Is it the frequency of thought? That's the part that really confused me.
Well,
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, let me give you an example of occultists. The occultists who go to do their, I'll give Brother Silverbeck an opportunity to answer. I think Brother Silverbeck maybe can explain also. It's about learning, okay? Maybe you can understand how you can explain to another person better. You see the occultists, Brother Device Sike, the occultists who practice witchcraft, you find that at night, he does some incantations. There's some language, if you vibrate the air at a particular language, it raises you in certain frequency, it allows you to leave your body. So there's knowledge that one person needs to know to apply certain incantations that can allow you to do certain things. So people who practice occultism, you will notice that they are doing some incantations. I've seen many of you have seen these movies, they are saying some shangara words. There are some vibrational frequency words that when you pronounce it, you and I don't know it. When they say it, they vibrate the air at a particular frequency. It then activates the frequency of their spirit, and then they leave their physical body. They go to the astral world, they have their meetings over there, and then they come back on the earth. But Silverbeck, you had your hand up, Silverbeck. And then we'll have Mr. Ndai.
Yes, what you have said, Brother Harvey, is very, very true. As far as concerning rituals, spirituality, I think his confusion is you've been relying so much on your earthly life to try to understand spirituality. Now you have to reverse that. Okay? Because everything has frequency. Everything. Okay? Now I'm gonna give you another example. Just because men discover electricity, it does not mean that it was always there. Because it was always there. Okay? Now when we come to a level of enlightenment, again, that's frequency. That's also frequency. When your mind is elevated, that's frequency. Okay? Now you can choose to stay in darkness, but we have to go higher and higher. But everything has frequency. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in this dimension.
Wow. Queen Tendai, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the question that my brother was asking before. I don't know if that's what he was referring to, but I think maybe he meant that when you say that we should raise our vibration from the 3D dimension, like what exactly do you mean? Like which vibration is changing and which frequency is changing when we're saying we need to move out of the 3D?
Very interesting. Okay. If you are basically it's just about how you live, okay? But if for example, what you're eating with your physical body, you're eating so many fast foods, or you're eating very unhealthy, it sets your body in a certain way. But if you begin to take in things which are much cleaner or correctly or pure, it also changes your entire body. So, you can see that if you begin to eat so many fat food, you become very fat. It begins to change your body. And then when you begin to eat cleaner things, it begins to clean your entire system. So it means that change of lifestyle that you have chosen, you have moved from one frequency to another frequency. So it means you can understand the functioning of the laws. Let's say, for example, Mr. Ndai is vibrating in the frequency just means energy, the decision that you're making with your thoughts, with your actions and your words. You make a decision to steal someone's goat, you have chosen to use the energy of that Nzambe to perform the act of stealing. You are in the frequency of theft. You can also use the same energy of that Nzambe to help somebody else. You're in the frequency, you're using the energy that you have been given by that Nzambe within a particular act. So every act that you do using the forces of the universe, which is energy, it sets you at a certain frequency. So a person who is loving, a person who is caring, in their spiritual frequency, they're in a higher spiritual frequency than a person who is who lives in hate, materialism, and egocentric. So frequency, but as if I is just, I can say it simply, is how you basically use the energies that you have. Another example, but as if I can own a knife company, but as if I makes knives. But as if I can take the knife to kill somebody. I can take the knife to cut tomatoes. So it means we are all taking the energy of the universe and we're giving it a direction. I choose the direction to cut tomatoes, but Silverbait takes the direction of killing a person. So he has used the energy in a different way, in a different frequency. So it's just energy that you use freely as a free spirit to direct what actions you want to take, and it sets you at that particular frequency or the other. Baramfula, I can see Baramfula's hand is up. What's Baramfula?
Yes, I thought I could. Thank you very much. I thought I could contribute on the frequency, which maybe my humble understanding is the what is it, the emotional state of a person. When we start, we maybe the person who gets angry, the person who thinks a lot about things that are not really clean. But as we grow in the things of the Most High, we begin to bring those things, those evil thoughts down. Our thoughts begin to become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, meaning our vibration in that area is changing. We are getting higher and higher. It's not always that when a person does something wrong to you, you are already behaving like them. You get offended and say things that you shouldn't say. We begin to get closer and closer to what the Most High is in our thoughts, in things that we do, in loving other people, moving away from being, it's me at the center all the time. Egocentrism begins to end. We begin to find the reason to love other people and care about them. Like it says, the whole duty of man is to obey the Most High. He says, love me and love your neighbor. Those are the two very important commandments. That's raising the vibration.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Mfula, for that. Brother Zivai, another example to understand frequency, you notice that when Master Yeshua resurrected, when he resurrected, the way we are taught in Christianity, he appeared to his disciples in a room. The door was locked, Brother Zivai. The door was locked, and he passed through the wall, and he appeared to disciples. They had some sort of a vision. It means they saw Master Yeshua not with their physical eye. They saw Master Yeshua with their astral eye, because Master Yeshua was in the astral body. Because when you die, you leave the physical body. He left the physical body, it was buried. He came out in his astral body, and his astral body, because it's of an astral dimension, it's not of a physical dimension, it can walk through the wall. The matter of the earth cannot block it. It means the vibration and the frequency of the astral body is much lighter, but the physical body matter is very heavy. That's why when you speak to somebody outside who's outside the house, he can hear you. Why? Because your voice is in a very lighter frequency. It can pass through the wall and the other person can hear you. But with your physical body like this, you cannot pass through the wall. It's impossible. You have to get into a different frequency. So when Master Yeshua appeared to the disciples in the room, like they said, he appeared to them in the room, he passed through the wall and they saw him in a vision. It's not physically, no. They had seen him in the vision of the astral. It means the eye of the astral body is what saw Master Yeshua, not their physical eye. But Silverback, yes, you have your hand before we close.
Yes, well, when we talk about frequency, we have to consider the very many things that we are living with today that we have taken for granted, and for somehow we don't correlate between frequency and the many various dimensions, right? Because if you think about it, fire has a certain frequency, just like sound has certain frequency. And when sound is applied in a certain way, it can either make you happy or it can disrupt your peace or make you deaf. Okay? So that's a frequency that you don't see, but you hear with your ears. But if it's applied in a certain way, it can make you burst as well. Okay? It can make you uh, um, how do you say it? Explode. Right? So your enemy is extremely aware of his or her environment. While we've taken so many things for granted, your enemy is is a witch, a warlock, a wizard, whatever you may call it. They show you in their movies what they are capable of doing. It is not, it's not see, the thing about it is that they're playing with your brain. They're programming you. Let me give you another example of programming. Right now, today, whenever you look on TV, you see these mixed couples, black and white couples. Okay, why? Because they're programming your mind to accept these ideas. Tatan Zambi said, we are his children. We are to be separated from them. But these people are clever, extremely clever. So when it comes to frequency, my friends, brothers and sisters, we have to pray and open our spiritual eyes. When you start opening your spiritual eyes, then these concepts will be won't be so foreign to you. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and the best way, brother Zivai, if you want to raise your vibration, first of all, purity. Purity tends to raise your vibration. It means you change. It means the energy which you are producing by your decisions, you change it in a different direction. Okay, instead of choosing to do this, you choose to do something else. So it means you are basically using the energy in a different direction. And depending on the laws of the Most High, it now sets you at a certain particular state, whether you are in a higher frequency or in a lower frequency. And people who are in a higher frequency, when they intervene on earth, they can heal. You may find that your wife is a very spiritual person. When she's around your child who is sick, the sickness leaves immediately because she's in a certain frequency that she's able to impact. Her energy is basically able to impact the impurities to leave you. So when you choose a certain lifestyle, a certain relationship, you make the right kind of decisions in your life which are conform to the laws of the Most High, it raises you to a different level. But if you stay in materialism, you are very heavy. Definitely, Brother Victor, I'll add you to the Zola Bantu group. Yes, Brother Zivai. Over to you, Brother Zivai.
Thank you very much for the explanations. Yeah, I'm really getting an idea of what raising a frequency entails. Yeah, mostly it's the actions, the thoughts, and the words that come out of your mouth that either raise or that lower the frequency. That's what I got from you, from the responses. However, from yes, from the of the speakers, there was something that said when you pray to the Most High. It's another question I have. How do you pray? I mean, what is prayer? As in, because I know it in another way, and I'm not too sure if that's exactly what I mean. So, but maybe it's a discussion for another day. But yeah, I really have a question of what it is to pray, and how do you know that you are connecting to the Most High, and more like what makes you so sure that you are connected to the Most High at the time you're praying?
If I can ask you, if I can ask you, Brother Zivai, suppose on a Sunday you go to church and your friend goes to work. Between you and your friend, who's praying? Huh?
Neither, because the way I understand prayer is the communication. So going to church only, or maybe singing and whatever, I don't consider it as prayer myself. Because you can be there and not connect. So perhaps it's the perception I have of prayer. That's why I needed an explanation of what is meant by prayer, because perhaps it's used differently from what I understand it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the way we have been taught in Christianity about prayer is you go to your room. Even the Bible says, go to your room, close your door, and speak to the Most High who is unseen. Prayer, Brother Zivai, is how you live your day daily, and what you do according to the mission which the Most High has given you. That's your prayer. If, for example, you were sent by the Most High here to be the best engineer in the world, it means to teach humanity about how to build the best bridges, how to be able to show them the science of bridge making. You arrive here, you're born, you go to school, you learn in secondary school, university, you take your degree, you begin to really do that activity of bridge construction. It means you are fulfilling your purpose. That is prayer, Brother Zivai. It's not locking yourself in the room and you're saying shangala. That's not prayer. That's why I asked you that question. You go to church, Brother James Fuller goes to the farm. It's Brother James Fuller who's praying, not you. So prayer is your life, what you do daily with the energy and the life that the Most High has given you. That is prayer. That's why it's even difficult, and it's even worse because you have a problem with your neighbor, but you lock yourself in the room and you're saying you're praying to the Most High. No. So people who are doing the will of the Most High are the ones who are actually praying.
Yes.
I don't know if Brother Siwabek has his hand or Brother Zivai has his hand as well.
No, I'm sorry about that. No, I don't.
Yes, Queen Elikia.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to lower my hand. It keeps staying up. I'm trying to take it down. I don't have a question.
It's okay. Yeah, so what I was saying, so prayer is doing the will of God. But Balebo, for example, Balebo is in the Department of Cyber Security. He does IT and all those things. If that's really his purpose, that's what he came here to do on the earth, then he's praying just by going to work and doing those coding and making sure that humanity is living in the right way in terms of communication. He's praying. If you're a pilot, you're flying the plane, you are taking people from one place to another. That is your gift. That is your knowledge. You are praying. If you're a doctor in the hospital, you are treating people. You are healing people. That is praying, you know? So what you do with your life daily, according to your purpose, if you've identified your purpose, that is what we call prayer. But if you're not doing your purpose, you're not doing what the Most High has sent you to do, you're not praying. Even if you go for the retreat for 40 days somewhere isolated place, it is not prayer. Now, Marazivai, what we are taught to be prayer in Christianity is actually meditation. There's a difference between prayer and meditation. Meditation is a bit different. Meditation is actually what the Christians call prayer now. Meditation is you set yourself apart to really interact with the universe, to feel the energy of the universe and put yourself aside. That's what we call meditation. So meditation is actually what the Christians do when they go to their rooms to pray. It's not prayer, but prayer is actually your work, what you do daily, your daily activity. But then Fuller, what are your thoughts? I see you are agreeing with Fuller.
I have found your explanation to be very, very powerful. What purpose somebody's purpose, if they perform it, then they are obeying the Most High, because He purposed that for them and they agreed before they incarnated through somebody. They had agreed with the Most High what they should be doing. That's why He says, I knew you before you were conceived in your mother's womb. So we have that purpose. The gift that I have is to identify my mission on earth. Maybe the thing I went in of being a teacher may not be my purpose. I must identify my purpose and do it to the best of my ability. Then I am obeying, and as you obey, you are honoring the Most High, your Father, when you are prayerful, rather than just go into church and sing and dance and scream.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Mr. James. But as Ivai, you heard our responses to prayer. What are your thoughts? Is this something that you relate to? As Ivai,
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, now it's becoming a bit clearer now that you made a distinction between meditation, which is called prayer. So that's the understanding I had. So, and now the prayer, as you described it, that it's your life, your daily life. So I think I now understand that the way you live is prayer, or is supposed to be prayer, for as long as it is aligned to what the Creator wants for you or for your life. So I think the most important thing then becomes knowing that purpose, because I don't think there is anywhere written, or if there is such a place, maybe it's a matter of how to access that place or that information, or how to decode, if it's decodable, or you need to download it from somewhere. But the knowledge of that alignment to the purpose, I think then it becomes one's mission in life. So that I'd like to know if maybe there are some steps that somebody needs to take to get to know that. So perhaps, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Brother Ziva. I can see Brother Ziva back before we close for today. We apologize for taking long for those who are watching us on YouTube. Yes, Brother Ziva.
There are many examples in the scriptures where, as our brother, as our elder Fuller was talking about prayer in regards to Jeremiah. If you look throughout the whole Bible, you will notice that the prophets would they would quote unquote pray to the Most High to get instructions.
Get that.
So I see prayer as a way to connect with the Most High to receive instructions. We're not praying to become super spiritual, because the Most High already knows everything about us. Why would we praying to get, otherwise, other than getting instructions?
Get that.
Understand, right? So it would be only to edify the Most High, to acknowledge the Most High, to glorify Him for all His works. Everything before us is evidence of the glory of the Most High. Everything before us is to edify the Most High. That's what prayer is. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Brother Victor, there are certain prayers which you should stop doing. You're wasting your time, like praying God for money, praying to God for food, praying to God for a job. No, God has put everything available on the earth to make sure that you have what you need physically. You cannot be praying to God for food. If you want food, there's land, get the seeds, plant, you have food. If you want money, go and do some training. If you are unemployed, go and do some training, get a degree or a certificate, look for an employment, you get a job. After that, you get paid, you have money. So there are things you cannot pray to the Most High for, like praying to the Most High. So they have even abused the prayer in Christianity. You pray for marriage. If you want to marry, go on the street, find a woman who you think you like, begin to speak to her. If she really agrees to your proposition, you begin to arrange for your marriage. You not pray to the Most High for marriage, praying to the Most High for divorce, praying to the Most High for food. We're not speaking to the Most High for things. So anything which is in your capacity to do as a human being, don't pray for it. I see some students. I remember when I was in high school. You see that the Christians, we were Christians, but we had Muslims also there. We also had Hindus over there as well. Those guys will be studying the whole night for the exams. But our pastor would tell us, Brother Amfula, come for prayer night. Don't worry. The Most High will handle everything. The Most High will bless you. He will reveal to you. It's like you're in the classroom and then the answers are coming. They are flowing to your body. That is ultimate stupidity. The other guys were studying for the exam, but we went for a prayer night, shangalalala, shouting every night. We kill you, we bind you the devil, we squeeze you, we scatter you the devil. The exams came, we wrote, we fell. So you can't expect the Most High to intervene and give you answers in your mind. You have to study. You have to work your neurons. Because Christians claim to say the Indians do not worship God, but Christians come to India to study. The same people you condemn that do not know God, you come to their country and they teach you their IT, they teach you their engineering. So they get it from where? The devil. So you leave Africa as a Christian, you come to study as a student in India to people who you claim worship the devil in Hinduism. And then they are the ones teaching you engineering, architecture, business. So you find that this is ultimate stupidity. Religion makes you become stupid. I'm sorry. So the same person that you say does not know God, you go to him to teach you about computers, to teach you about making cars. You see that religion has made us become like sheep with no brain. We don't think anymore. Brother Silverberg, yes.
No, I'm unable to lower my hand. That's why.
Sorry about that. Yes, Mr. John Fuller. We have become fools with religion.
It's true. Religion is a mental prison. It seeks to control, and it has to have so many people. It's business, actually. It has to have many people to keep pouring their resources into it. It is religion, especially Christianity, is for clever people to make money out of stupid people. That's what it is.
And the worst part is it, they put in the Bible that leaders come from God. It means your president is corrupt, your president is doing bad things in the country, you go to church, oh no, leaders come from God. It's God who put him there. What kind of stupidity is this? If you organize yourself and vote a good person among yourself, you can have a good leader. So people have stayed in power 31 years. Like Jame, Yoweri Museveni, you find Ugandans saying that he was put there by God. God has put him there. You see, these kind of things. We are now putting certain things, responsibilities on the Most High, which are we ourselves. The Most High will not do anything to you but a label that you yourself have the capacity to do. Where you stop in your capacity, where you say, now I cannot do anything, then the Most High intervenes.
That's right. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mrs. B. So you can see there are some books you can read about this subject today. General History of Africa is available. Civilization or Barbarism, even the Bible, there are good concepts in there. Black Root Science is amazing. The Destruction of the Black Civilization is there. You can really look at it. The Children of the Matrix by David Icke. He speaks about these Nephilims, Miss Paulette. If you want to know about the reptilian beings, but David Mike speaks about it a lot here. The Africa Fact Book is there. Forbidden Knowledge is there. Hidden Histories over there. And also the Ancient Book of Enoch was removed from the Council of Nicaea because they tried to put some scholars to manipulate it and change things, but they couldn't do it. So they just said, let's just remove it. So they removed the Book of Enoch from the Bible, boom, just because they couldn't manipulate it. So you can check out this these books. If you want to see any other books, check out the Zola Bantu library. It's available. Go to www.zolabantu.org. You can see many books over there we have. If you want the PDF, you email us and we'll send you the PDF. Please, we love you so much. Have a beautiful week ahead until we meet in our next class 27. We love you so much, Brother Lebo, Brother Mfula, and also Miss Paulette. Mr. Ndaya, thank you so much for being here. And Brother Zivai for your beautiful questions. The class is available on our YouTube page, Brother Mfula. You can watch it again and again. I'll send the link in the group. I'll be adding Mr. Victor in our group as well. Mr. Victor, thank you for joining us today as well. We'll really we're not just here to teach, we have many projects. We'll try to contact you guys to be part of it as well. And Ms. Paulette suggested that she wanted to be part of a project. So thank you so much. We're going to definitely get in touch with Victor and also Ms. Paulette. For those of you watching us live on YouTube, you can send your email or your phone number so we can add you to the class group. We send reading materials every week to prepare for the class, and we love you so much. Have a beautiful week ahead. Like I said, don't go out tomorrow and pray for the things. Go to your office place, work. If you don't know certain concepts, go to take some training, get some formation. You cannot sit in your car and say, Father, help me drive today in the perfect way. It won't happen. You can fast in there for 40 days. You will not learn how to drive the car unless you go to a driving school. They teach you how to drive a car. So if you cannot pray to drive a car, why do you pray for food? Why do you pray for clothes? So we have to organize ourselves. If you want Africa to become first in the world, you have to organize yourselves. We have to organize ourselves. We have to grow our own food. We have to teach our children. We have to build our own markets, our own hospitals. Nothing like you were smoking cigarettes 20 years of your life. Now your lungs has been destroyed by nicotine and tar, and then you go to the pastor to pray for you for healing. My dear, there are very less chances. It won't happen. You will die. There is no liberty without responsibility. Every action that you take, you have to assume the responsibilities. There's nothing like, oh, no, I didn't, no. If you pause and if you do an act, when the act is returning to you, you have to assume the responsibilities. Yes, you are there destroying your lungs with cigarettes, destroying your liver with alcohol, and then later on you want to pray for healing. It won't happen. My dear brothers and sisters, we love you so much. Have a beautiful week ahead and catch you in our next class next Sunday. Bye-bye for now.